Hello, welcome to my channel The X. Have you ever wondered what Greenwich Mean Time is? Let's unravel this mystery. Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT for short, is a time system that takes its name from the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. It's where mean solar time, the time determined by the apparent path of the sun across the sky, was first defined. And this place, this concept, set a global standard for measuring time. So, in essence, Greenwich Mean Time is a standard of time measurement that is used around the world. But how did Greenwich become the reference point for time, you might wonder? Well, to answer that, we need to journey back to the 17th century. The year is 1675, and King Charles II, intrigued by the scientific revolution sweeping across Europe, decides to establish the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. The purpose? To solve the pesky problem of determining longitude at sea, which was causing all sorts of navigational nightmares for sailors. The Royal Observatory became the home of Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT as we know it. But why Greenwich, you ask? Well, it was conveniently located for the King's maritime interests, and its hilltop position was perfect for celestial observations. Fast forward a couple of centuries to 1884, when the International Meridian Conference took place in Washington, D.C. Here, delegates from 25 countries, including the United States, Russia, and Germany, had a big decision to make. They had to decide where the prime meridian, the 0 degrees longitude, should be located. The stakes were high, because this imaginary line would be the reference point for time and navigation around the world. Several locations were proposed, including Paris and even Jerusalem. But after much debate, Greenwich won the day. You see, by this point, over 2/3 of all ships already used naval charts based on Greenwich. So, in a bid to standardize things, the Greenwich Meridian was designated as the world's 0 degrees longitude. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. France, for instance, continued to use the Paris Meridian for several more decades, not officially adopting the Greenwich Meridian until 1911. But eventually, the rest of the world fell in line, and Greenwich Mean Time became the global standard. It's fascinating to think that a small district in London, once known for its royal palace and beautiful park, would become the center of global timekeeping. But as we've seen, it's a role that Greenwich has embraced for centuries, from the days of King Charles II to the present day. And that's how a small district in London became the center of global timekeeping. But how does Greenwich Mean Time actually work? Well, GMT is the clock time at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. It's not affected by daylight saving time or any seasonal adjustments. It's the same all year round. Now, imagine the world as a huge clock face. Greenwich, London is at the top at 12 o'clock. The Earth is divided into 24 time zones, each representing 1 hour. These time zones are defined as positive or negative offsets from GMT. If you move east from Greenwich, each time zone you enter is 1 hour ahead of the one you just left. Conversely, if you move west, each time zone is 1 hour behind. For example, if it's noon in Greenwich, it's 1 in the afternoon in Paris, France, which is GMT plus 1. If you cross the Atlantic to New York, USA, it's 7 in the morning, as New York is GMT minus 5. But here's a fun fact, not all places follow this neat 1 hour increment system. Some places, like India, have their time zones offset by 30 minutes. So if it's noon in Greenwich, it's 5:30 in the evening in India. In essence, GMT serves as the world's timekeeper. It's the reference point from which all other times around the globe are set. So no matter where you are in the world, your local time is always relative to GMT. You might be wondering, why is Greenwich Mean Time still important today? Well, imagine a world where every city had its own time zone. Traveling, coordinating international meetings, or planning a long-distance call would be a nightmare. But thanks to Greenwich Mean Time, we have a universal standard that keeps us all ticking in sync. Let's take aviation, for instance. Pilots and air traffic controllers across the globe rely on GMT to keep flights running smoothly and safely. In the realm of computing, servers use GMT to synchronize systems and prevent data discrepancies. Mariners depend on it for accurate navigation. Weather forecasters use GMT to predict weather patterns accurately across different time zones. And of course, international communication would be a mess without a common time reference. So the next time you check your watch or phone, remember that you're connecting to a time standard that dates back centuries and spans the globe. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel to support me and don't forget to share. Have a nice day.